did have a question about black pepper. So the thing with spices, it can be a bit multi-pronged. So although black pepper does have oxalate in it, it's not terrible. It's medium per teaspoon, and most of us wouldn't eat a whole teaspoon at a time. You have to be a real fan to eat a whole teaspoon at a time. But the challenge with pepper, I think, can be the irritation to the system. So you could be in a situation where you're dealing with black pepper as a histamine trigger. So that's where it really becomes more of a deal. And I have done the substitution of white pepper for black pepper, and I still have to be kind of careful. So I'm one of those people whose gut is a bit sensitive to the whole histamine thing. And for a lot of us, high histamine might show up as something like GERD or heartburn or a thing like that. So I think it's worth keeping in mind that you might want to give yourself a periodic break from it just to see if it makes a difference. So that might be necessary that you do an experiment here, because white pepper seems to have some of the same qualities that black pepper has in terms of a potential histamine trigger. And so that's my biggest issue with something like black pepper. If you use a little bit of it periodically on your food and you're not having any issues with your gut and you're not seeing anything in terms of symptoms after a meal, then continue on. Like, carry on. There's not a problem there. So it's not going to be a big oxalate thing. And particularly if you mix like white peppercorns with black peppercorns and you're getting some white pepper and some black pepper, you've actually taken the oxalate right down on that. So you can have something with black pepper and get some of the taste. So this is one of those places where we don't have an all or nothing. And thankfully, we don't have an all or nothing. Many of my recipes on the website will show you things where I might have used some of a spice and then some of an extract and then some of a, something else to get a flavor, to get the right flavor. But I reduce the oxalate by mixing various approaches to a flavor in order to get enough of it in the food in the end. I have a Greek salad version, which is a very classic one here. I use like a spice drop for the oregano because oregano is one of those ones. It's medium oxalate. It's going to add up. And I use a little bit of the actual spice. Why do I use a little bit of the actual spice? Because it doesn't look right to me if you don't have little flecks of oregano on a Greek salad. So there's things like that that we can do. So you can have the sensory experience of the food in a way that you like, with the taste that you're after, and bring down your oxalate level. So one of the tips I've got for those of you, particularly in Europe, although I buy them myself from Canada, is there's a company over in the UK called Holy Lama Spice Drops. And Lama is spelled Lama. So they're not spelling it like the animal. Holy Lama Spice Drops. And they actually have some of the higher oxalate spices in a spice drop. Pretty sure they have turmeric. No, they have black pepper. They've got cinnamon. They've got a bunch of these things. Now, that's a great way for you to get a hit of flavor, because their spice drops, they're more like the fresh spice. They're not so much like the ground spice. Pepper would probably be the only exception, or cinnamon, but their basil drops are wonderful because they taste like fresh basil. So I use those sometimes in my cooking. Occasionally they'll turn up in recipes on the website, and I'd really recommend that stuff because that's a great way. You get your flavor, you're not getting any oxalate, you're still having a problem with it. It could be histamine or salicylate, but if you're fine as soon as you go to the spice drops, carry on.